Yes, good evening, class members. Today I'll be taking you through surveying 1, and we'll be looking for our class for today we'll basically do with the introduction. Before we begin the introduction, I know majority of you have interacted with the term surveying, as in our early childhood we were able to do some sort of construction house using a maze cob, and we were able to do some fencing using those maze cob. So the act of doing fencing or the act of making those boundaries, it was just part of survey work, but we didn't know by then. So at this time, we want to look, because you are now mature enough, this is the course we've chosen as one, and it is a unit among the course you choose. So we'll be handling now the survey, and to carry out the introduction, we'll begin by looking specifically the objectives. And our objective number 1, by the end of the lesson, the learner should be able to define the term surveying, to state the object of surveying, state 5 uses of surveying, and explain the classification of surveying. So to define what surveying is, surveying is the art of determining relative position of the Earth's surface of the Earth by measuring the horizontal distances between, by preparing a map to any suitable scale. So it is all about measuring of distances, but it is specifically deal with you measure the horizontal distance. That's what surveying is. Now, to see what object of surveying, the object is now the aim of surveying, the purpose of what entails under surveying. And the aim of surveying is to prepare a map to show the relative position of objects on the surface of the Earth, and the map is drawn to some suitable scales. As you know, our maps, they must have some characteristic to make it to be a map. So a map must have a scale, must have a frame, and must have a title. And in those maps, there are some features which are shown. Like we have the natural features such as the towers, village roads, railways, rivers, etc. Maps may also include different engineering works such as roads, railway, and irrigation canals. So here the main object is just the purpose of why we are carrying out surveying. So surveying, now as you have seen the object of surveying, now we want to look at the uses of surveying. And under the uses of surveying, one is to prepare the topographical map which shows the hills, valleys, and rivers. I think that point is self-explanatory. Uses number 2 to prepare cadastral map showing the boundaries of field, houses, and other properties. Just to mention the term cadastral, these are type of surveyors which normally do or carry out surveying where there is a conflict of land or the boundaries. So they are the people who are involved in carrying out surveying for such cases. Uses number 3 is to prepare an engineering map which shows details of engineering works such as roads, railways, reservoirs, irrigation canal, and etc. So it is this map where we are able to locate these engineering works. Then uses number 4 to prepare a military map showing the roads and the railway communication with different parts of the country. Such maps also show strategic points important for defense. To prepare another use is to prepare the contour maps to determine the capacity of the reservoir and find the best possible routes for roads. So if you are able to see the screen, I'll request one of you to read for me the classifications of surveying.
So
Class, can you hear me?
I can get you.
Okay, go ahead.
I think the classification for the surveying, I think there are two. If I can start, we have the categories. They are divided into two categories. One category is primary classification. The second one is secondary classification. Then thereby you have started by looking at the primary classification. That is divided into two. We have plain surveying, geodetic survey.
Thank you for able to read the classifications of surveying. We have seen surveying can be classified into two categories. That is the primary classification, the secondary classification. To begin by looking at the primary classification, surveying can be primarily classified into two. That's where we have plain surveying and geodetic surveying. To begin by looking what the two entails, plain surveying is the type of surveying where the curvature of earth is not taken into consideration because it is carried out over a small area, while geodetic surveying is the type of surveying where the curvature of the earth is taken into consideration because it extended over a larger area. So normally in our sites where we do our normal constructions of buildings, constructions of roads, constructions of canals, we normally carry out the plain surveying because it is the type of surveying where the small area is being covered. But the geodetic, as we have said earlier, it is carried over a larger area. So we are continuing the classifications. We are continuing the classifications of classification, and we are now moving to the category number 2, that is the secondary classifications. And under secondary category, it is now further divided into 4, where number 1 we have based on object, geological. Under based on objects, now we have various types like geological surveying, mine surveying, archaeological surveying, military surveying. Geological surveying, mine surveying is one which is used to locate where minerals is, and archaeological surveying, this one is used to locate where the remains of fossils were. And this military surveying, this one is mainly used by our defense forces for purpose of defending our country, to mark out the boundaries for further prevention of an external attack from our neighbors. So we have done with the based on object. Now we are moving to based on the nature of the field. Under based on nature of the field, we have land surveying. This specifically deals with demarcations of land boundaries, and we have marine surveying. This deals with the marines. And astronomical surveying, this one deals with astronomy, such as the moon, stars, and the heavenly bodies. And we have another type under secondary classifications. We have based on instrument. Under based on instrument, we have chain surveying, compass surveying, plane table surveying, theodolite surveying, tachymetric surveying, and photographic surveying. So under based on instrument, in our case, in our module 1 case, the next topic will be able to handle what chain surveying is. Under compass, plane, theodolite, tachymetry, and photographic, this one will be able to handle in our last module, which is module 3. And we also have another classification under secondary still, which is based on method. Under based on method, now we have the triangulation surveying, and this type of surveying is normally carried out in a triangular manner, in triangular form. And also we have traversing surveying, and this traverse surveying we will be able to go into details when we reach in module 2. And now we are moving now, after now knowing what surveying is, we are able to know what the object, what is the aim of surveying. We have seen the uses of surveying, classifications of surveying. Now we are moving towards almost the end of the lesson, but let us look the general principles of surveying before we summarize our lesson of the day. So there are only 2 general principles of surveying. So principle number 1, principle of surveying number 1 is to work from the whole to part. For example, when you want to construct a house, you can't start by measuring the partitions, but you start with the whole figure first. You measure the whole figure first, then is when you move into the partitions. And that is what it meant by saying to work from whole to part. And now the last principle is now to locate a new station by at least 2 measurements of linear or angular from a fixed reference point. I think now we are able to understand what surveying is. So as we'll be moving into other topics, we'll be now able to study what we know. So just before I end my class, there is an assignment that I would like you to go and do a research and you'll be able to collect it in the next class when we meet. And the assignment is you state 5 importance of survey. Similarly, importance may also look like the uses, but now you can go ahead and do more research and then you state the 5 importance of survey. Otherwise, thank you for your time for attending my class. Have a blessed evening, and I hope we'll meet for a physical class in our next class come next week. Have a blessed evening.